Welcome to week 7 of this beginner's belly dancing course with me, Lindsey Marie Silver, here at Sahara Studio in Scotland. In this session, we're going to build on what we've been doing during the course, and I thought I'd give us an introduction into the art of layering within belly dance. And this is something that's going to become more and more of a continual theme, and you're going to find it really moreish in itself. Once you get a little bit of a taste of layering, you just want to keep trying. But you can only really achieve that once you've got the absolute fundamentals down. So I will take you into this very gradually, and let's begin to explore. Let's dive in. So let's get started. We're going to begin with our feet about hip width apart. Remember, do your little check to make sure. We're talking about the inside of that hip measurement. You're going to bend through your knees, tuck your hips under, and just do that checklist of your basic stance to make sure that you're in fabulous posture and alignment. And remember to take that deep, good quality breath, extend all the way through the spine. So once you're in that full alignment, let's take a deep breath. And we're just going to warm up through the body, enjoying those slides that we did, that smooth serpentine movement of the slide. So we're just going to take a few moments just to mobilize through the spine. Nice. Warm up the muscles. You can start those movements nice and small and begin to make them a bit bigger from there. We can add in some arms. You might choose to frame the movement here. And remembering that hip line, keep that nice and level all the way across. And you're doing that utilizing that bend of the knees. Good. Perhaps now anchoring through the low half and bring that movement into the upper half. Hips nice and steady and neutral. And you're sliding the whole rib cage across. Keep the shoulders level. Nice. And then in here, we're going to slide through the head. Remember, use that movement sparingly. And if you want a little bit on the technique of slides, of course, you'll find the individual class for that particular movement, the biomechanics behind it, how we're driving that movement, what you're looking for in terms of perfecting technique, and what all of the health benefits are of that. Let's now take that movement into circle, bring the hip out to the side, bring it back. Out to the side, bring it forwards. And remember, as we go through these classes, you can use this forward view. You can also use the reverse image in the mirror. And at times I do turn where that is relevant for your learning. Let's take that to the other side, all the way around. How have you been enjoying your journey so far? What's been your favorite movement? How do you feel in your body now in comparison to the start of your belly dance journey? I'd love to know. I would absolutely love to know. We have lots of conversations here in the studio. Lots of ladies feel that their movements bring them back home to themselves. They find their confidence again, their femininity, their sensuality. Lots of ladies find, we talk about having found muscles that we didn't even know existed. And it really can feel like that. You have this sense of feeling very together. Nice. So we took that circle into figure 8. Let's now bring that into center. We're going to twist through the hip, One hip comes forwards, one hip comes back. Nice. Try to keep that upper half nice and still and steady. You could bring your hands out in front and twist. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yes! Bring it up to speed, up to shimmy. Woohoo! Moroccan shimmy. And bring it back down. And here we're going to bend through our knees, one and then the other, and allow for the hip to gently lower on one side and then the other. You're lengthening through the waist on one side and then through the other side, keeping your upper half nice and steady in center, maintaining that height so you're not bobbing around like this. Keep it nice and still and smooth, and the hips are neutral. You might find the hip wants to pop out like this. No. Tuck it under. Tuck your hip under. Allow that lengthening through the waist. Nice. Good. You could take that up a little speed. 1, 2, 1, 2. Start to emphasize the drop. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Lovely. Whee. Nice. Okay, now that you're feeling a little bit warmed up, the muscles are ready, they're fired, ready to go. Whoop, 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 whoop. They're like, what's gonna happen next? And I'm sure you're wondering too. So what we're going to be doing is using 2 movement patterns at the same time. So I thought for this one, we'd utilize a common favorite movement, and one that I know is definitely my favorite too, one of my favorites, a hip drop. And we're going to combine that with a directional change. Whoa! So starting to really enter into the zone of using the space that you have available to you. It's one thing learning a repertoire of movements, but how do you actually utilize them in a space, and how can you travel with them? So we're going to be having a look at that, a hip drop and a directional change using the space. So what is a hip drop? Let's remind ourselves of that first of all. So let's bring our feet into that stance, bring your whole body into that stance, and then let's bring our hands into an L shape. This is telling your audience, I want you to pay particular attention to this side of my body. And the other thing that it's doing, well, 2 things. It looks very elegant, of course. But also the third thing is that you're helping to stabilize your balance as you shift your weight. So what we're going to do is we're going to shift our weight slightly into our right side or our left side, depending on what way you want to work. So let's say if we shift our weight into our left, we can bring our right foot out like this. So there's no weight in this foot. So if you'd like to focus in particularly on the technique of hip drops, you can pop back a video or 2, rewind, and find the technique of hip drops within belly dance. And we're adding to that now. So we're here, and what you're going to do is you're going to drop your hip down, drop, and lift, gradual lift, drop. We're going to emphasize the drop because it is a hip drop that we're doing. Drop. And remember, it's not here with your bum, it's tucked right under. So lift and drop. Smooth, controlled lift and just release. Now, what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be alternating this movement with a basic hip drop straight down. And the next one, we're going to add a flick. Now, this feels really, really good fun if you do it correctly. When I say correctly, what do I actually mean? So anytime when I am thinking about there being a right and a wrong way in belly dance, the only right or wrong to me is whether or not you're adding well-being or you're potentially taking it away. I come to the dance and to your enjoyment of the dance completely without judgment. So I'm not thinking about like, are you a good dancer or not? This is, to me, is like an odd concept. There's no competition at all for me within this art form. But what there is good technique in terms of, are you adding to your well-being, or are you potentially putting yourself at risk of injury? So the correct technique in terms of alignment of your body and encouraging benefits, boosting your muscles, the joints, your mobility, your energy, the feel-good factor, the right way to do that is to keep your hips tucked under and a huge big bend through your knee. That's protecting your whole self, and you get all of the fun. So we're lifting up, and then you're going to drop down. The next time you're going to lift up, and then what we're going to do is add a flick. So I want you to imagine that this flow of energy comes to your hip, but it doesn't stop there this time. That charge carries on all the way through down your leg, and it comes out through your toes. You can almost imagine this beam of energy, woo, this beam of light comes all the way through your toes, and you flick out with this. As you do that flick, correct technique for well-being would say, don't stop the movement here. It's not a straightforward. That might compromise your knee. What you're going to do is utilize your own body's biomechanics, the natural outward, gentle outward curve or twist through your hip socket. So what I'm talking about here in ballet terms, actually, this would be referred to as turnout. This natural opening through the hips. So this here with your toes facing straight forward, for many people feels a little bit forced. It doesn't feel natural to the muscles of the thigh or to the hips. So most of us would have this little bit of a natural turnout. For some people it's more pronounced. And what I'll just do is encourage you to just have a gentle play around with the placement of your feet and see what feels most comfortable. Add a bend to the knee there and think about what's most comfortable to your knees. What feels most natural? And all you're going to do in this movement is go to that place. So you've got your hip drop, and the hip comes up and it drops down, and the movement stops there, almost like with a full stop, a period, a punctuated stop. But in this one here, you're going to lift the hip up and then it's going to pass through. So there's still a drop, defined drop, but you're going to allow that energy to carry on and it comes all the way out through your toes. So let me just show you what that looks like. So you've got a hip lift and drop and lift and flick. Yeah? Try again. Lift and drop and lift and flick. Nice, well done. Shall we try that on the other side? Let's give it a go. So you're here, set yourself up in your little basic stance that we have with fabulous posture. Enjoy that sensation of good posture in your movement. Bring your hands out, elevate through the rib cage ever so slightly more. Bend through your knees. Remember we said really big bend through knees. Hips are definitely neutral. Step forward onto one leg. There's no weight here, remember. Your weight has shifted. This time it's shifted into your right hand side perhaps, if it was the left on the other side. So from here you're going to drop the hip down. So you're going to lift and drop. And then you're going to lift all the way up. Lift and flick. Yay! Try again. You're going to lift and drop and lift and flick. 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 Woohoo! How did it feel on that side? Did it feel a little bit different? Did it feel easier? Maybe it was trickier. What was your kind of observations there? Let me show you it from the side. So if I'm side on like this, and we're here, We're going to step forwards and we're lift, drop, lift, flick, lift, drop, lift, flick, lift, drop, lift, flick, lift, drop, lift, flick. Amazing. On the other side, lift, drop, lift, flick, lift, drop, lift, flick. And this movement will, of course, as with any other movement in this art form, it will look different on different people. It will feel different. Lift. Yep. Wow. Okay, so you're thinking now, all right, that's all good and well, but I thought you said directional change. That wasn't it. That was me just showing you what it looks like from the side. So your directional change is going to come in with a turn. So you're going to do this movement at the same time as performing a turn. And one of the fundamental ways of turning in the space is, how are we doing that? You're going to do that by shifting your weight from one side to the other, one side to the other. And at times it might almost be, it kind of happens without you almost even noticing it. It's quite a fluid transition. So let's try a hip drop flick with a turn. Oh my gosh. So this here, you're going to turn in the space. You're turning in the space. So if we were to step this out, you're going to step, turn, step, turn, step, turn, step, turn. So you're moving one foot forward, and the other side, you're going to pick up your heel, you're going to pivot on the ball of your foot, place your heel back down. You're going to step, pick your heel up, pivot on the ball of your foot, place the heel down, turn. One of the things I find really helpful in terms of comfort, but also in terms of protecting your joints in a movement like this, are these, if you can see these, foot gloves. I tried many different solutions, trying to find solutions in belly dance. Comfort, protecting your feet, protecting your joints, assisting with posture. These do the lot. If you're interested in a pair of these, they are available. They're on our website, sahara.studio. I'll pop a little link somewhere in case you're interested. All right, so with that turn, so we're here. You're going to lift and drop and lift and flick. Yep. So you're going to lift and drop, lift and flick, lift, drop, lift, flick, lift, drop, lift, flick, lift, drop, lift, flick, lift, and drop, lift, and flick. There's an aspect of just literally going with that movement. There's an unknown element there that is difficult to break down in terms of the teaching. Just go with when your body wants to move. Let's try that on the other side. Lift, drop, lift, flick, lift, drop, lift, flick, lift, drop, lift, flick, lift, drop, lift, flick. So what I find works really well is after you produce that flick movement, you use the stepping forward to give you the momentum to shift. So you've done the flick, place your foot forward and use that to bring you round. Lift, drop, lift, flick, place your toe down, lift your heel on the other side, pivot and down. Yep. Lift, drop, lift, flick. Place your foot, heel, and place the heel down and turn. Let's try on the other side. So we're here, lift, drop, lift, flick, lift, drop, lift, flick, lift, drop, lift, flick, lift, drop, lift, flick. One thing that you can play around with this that makes it even more fun is you could take a tiny little baby step and only just turn a fraction. Yeah? Drop, flick, drop, flick, drop, flick, drop, flick, drop, flick, drop, flick. Or you could turn the whole way around in maybe like 4 moves. We're here. 3 or 2. When you come into that zone, you're almost moving into a corkscrew turn. Let me show you a corkscrew turn because you might want to try that. So what you would do then is a drop, flick. You're going to cross your foot over, one over the other, and then you're going to turn to face the back. Yeah? Try again. Lift, drop, lift, flick. Place your foot, cross it over, turn all the way around to face the front. You can try that to the other direction as well. Let me show you that from here. Yes? So if we're here, we're going to turn this way around. So we're here, you're going to lift and drop and lift and flick. Cross your foot over in front of the other, and you're going to use that to spring you all the way around, using the momentum of those charged muscles. It's like a coiled spring. Once you've wound yourself round like that, your body wants to go with it. Your muscles are primed, ready for movement. Lift, drop, lift, flick, cross over in front, bring it all the way around. 1, 2, yep, 3, 4, step, 1, 3, 4. Just play around with it, have a little bit of fun. So you might choose to do, let's just take a moment here to just move any way we like with that. So you could do any combination. Maybe it's a small turn, corkscrew, half corkscrew. Then you could do drop, flick, corkscrew, drop, flick, corkscrew. Wow! Enjoy having some fun with that. This has been a phenomenal time exploring directional changes with layering. Ooh. Would you like to learn more about layering? Shall we try that in the next class? Well, let's do it. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you in the next lesson. Love you. Goodbye.